really appreciate. So the Super Eagles of Nigeria will take on the Bafana of South Africa by 5 p.m. Nigerian time. Today is the decision day. I don't want to say it's the day of reckoning, but today is the day we'll know whether the Super Eagles of Nigeria would actually go to the World Cup, whether they will actually qualify for the World Cup. Because if they win today, it's really, and then when they don't win today's match and they lose, their chances of going to the World Cup, I think, is over or are over. So they have to win today's match to still have any realistic chance of going to the World Cup. So winning in today's match is non-negotiable. They have to win today's match so that they will go to the World Cup. And talking about the World Cup, we saw Tunisia yesterday qualifying for the World Cup, becoming the second country after Morocco to pick a World Cup ticket from Africa. So Tunisia have joined Morocco to qualify for the World Cup. So 2 North African countries have already qualified for the World Cup. So in the USA, Canada, Mexico, Morocco there. And then for other countries that have qualified for the World Cup, before I go ahead with the Super Eagles own, let me just read out the other countries that have qualified for the World Cup. As at joining this, or before I started this program, the halftime of the match between Rwanda and Zimbabwe was 1-0. It was 1-0 to Zimbabwe at halftime. They started the match by 2 p.m. Nigerian time. By 4, they will finish the match. But at halftime, the match was 1-0 to Rwanda. So as it stands in Group C now, the Bafana of South Africa are still first and they have 16 points. Benin Republic are second, they have 11 points. Rwanda are third, they also have 11 points. As at halftime, according to halftime reports from the match between Rwanda and Zimbabwe, the Super Eagles of Nigeria are fourth and they have 10 points. Lesotho are fifth, they have 6 points, while Zimbabwe are sixth and they have 4 points. So that is how far. It's all about the match between Lesotho. That is all about the match going on anyway. So let me just read out the teams that have qualified for the World Cup. We have the United States of America, of course, they are the co-host. United States, Mexico, Canada. Those 3 teams are the co-hosts. So they've already, of course, they have automatic qualification for the World Cup. So other countries that have joined them are Argentina, Brazil, Ecuador, Uruguay, Paraguay, Colombia. Those are the teams from South America that have qualified for the World Cup. Argentina, Brazil, Ecuador, Uruguay, Paraguay, Colombia. Then we also have countries like Japan, Iran, Uzbekistan, South Korea, Jordan, and Australia. These are Asian countries that have qualified for the World Cup. Japan, Iran, Uzbekistan, South Korea, Jordan, and Australia. New Zealand have also qualified. They are from Oceania, they have qualified. Then from Africa, we have Morocco and Tunisia who have qualified already for the World Cup. I wish, as in very soon, we hope that the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be on this list of the countries that have qualified for the World Cup. We just hope that very soon the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be on the list of the countries that have qualified for the World Cup. So the match between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and Bafana of South Africa will be played today by 5 p.m. Nigerian time at the Free State Stadium in South Africa. South Africa will be hosting the match. Don't forget that South Africa came here to play the first leg of this match, or the reverse fixture of this match. They played it at the Godswill Public Stadium in Uyo, and it was a 1-1 draw. It was a 1-1 draw to South Africa in that match. Zwane scored first for South Africa before Nigeria equalized. And talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, in these qualifiers for the World Cup, especially their first three matches, they actually came from behind to equalize. In their first 3 matches, they came from behind to equalize. Our opponents were actually the first to take the lead in all those 3 matches. Our first match in the World Cup qualifier was against Lesotho. It was an away game in Lesotho. Lesotho scored first, and then later Nigeria equalized in that match. Also, our second match was against Zimbabwe. Was also okay. The match against Lesotho, it was played in Nigeria. Yeah. It was not an away match. It was played in Nigeria. But the second match against Zimbabwe was played in faraway Zimbabwe, and the Zimbabweans scored first before Nigeria equalized. And our third match was against the Bafana of South Africa. They came to Nigeria here. They were the first to score before the Super Eagles of Nigeria equalized. So our first 3 matches, we have actually come from behind to equalize in the World Cup qualifiers. The fourth match, of course, it was an away loss to Benin Republic. We went to Benin, and the Super Eagles were even the first to score in that match. Unlike those first three matches where they actually came from behind. This time around, they were the first to score, and they had the match in control. Then all of a sudden, things just changed in the match. We saw Benin equalizing, and before we could say anything, they scored the second goal. And the Super Eagles lost to Benin by 2-1. That was our fourth match. The fifth match was against Rwanda in faraway Rwanda. We defeated them by 2-0, with Victor Osimhen scoring in that match. And our sixth match was against Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe came to Nigeria. We were actually the first to score against Zimbabwe. After we scored around 78, around 70 something minutes. That was when we scored. Before the goal came, many people were already beginning to agitate and worry that the goal was not coming. And the goal eventually came in the 72nd minute, I think. And then what happened? Zimbabwe equalized towards the end of the match. Towards the very end of the match, Zimbabwe equalized. And that was our sixth match. And in our seventh match against Rwanda, that was the one we played on Saturday. The Super Eagles of Nigeria defeated Rwanda by 1-0. So many people have really registered their opinion about the match, especially because before the match, we saw the Bafana of South Africa defeating Lesotho by 2-0. Sorry, by 3-0. And Bafana of South Africa, they were really brilliant in that match, scoring spectacular goals and showing their dominance in that match. So a lot of people had expected that the Super Eagles against Rwanda will also show dominance. But football at times is not always mathematics, and at times football does not really go the way one plans. Because what we saw in the match against Rwanda was that at the end of the day, it was a very hard-fought victory for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. It was a keenly contested match, as in it was really hard-fought, and eventually they won the match by 1-0. But thank God we got the 3 points in that match. And under our coach Eric Chell, the Super Eagles of Nigeria have played 3 matches. I'm not talking about friendly matches now. I'm talking about main international matches. As a main event, they played 3 matches. They've won 2 and they've drawn 1. Our first match was against, the first match under Eritrea was against Rwanda, that we defeated Rwanda. And we saw what Victor Osimhen did in that match. And of course, also against Zimbabwe, it was a 1-0 draw. Victor Osimhen was also the one that scored. And then the last one was against Rwanda in Nigeria, and we defeated Rwanda by 1-0. Victor Osimhen in the 35th minute got injured in that match, and then as it is now, he will not be able to play today against South Africa. In fact, reports added that he couldn't make the South Africa, and he's back to his club side now. He couldn't make the trip to South Africa because he will not be able to recover in time for the match against South Africa. So we are going to meet Victor Osimhen in today's match. So the Super Eagles of Nigeria under a chair in competitive football, I'm talking about international matches now, have won 2 matches and they have drawn 1 match. And then 3 different coaches have been in charge of the Super Eagles for these qualifiers. Ose Pesero was actually the coach that started these qualifiers for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and he was the one that led the Super Eagles of Nigeria to draw against Lesotho in Nigeria. I mean, as in right now that many people are talking about point deduction, point deduction, this, that, one will begin to wonder that, as in how come we left it this late? Like, what really happened? How come we left it this late? But I think our first match against Lesotho, maybe, I don't know, and all these things have to do with mindset and the right side, because I don't think that they were really prepared for the match against Lesotho. And other things that came to play against Nigeria, of course, they know the pedigree of the Super Eagles of Nigeria in football, and especially our exploit at the last Africa Cup of Nations, where we got to the final. So, obviously, they came, all of them, everything that played the first 3 matches with Nigeria had a game plan, and they really executed their game plan very well. So, at the end of the day, we saw the Super Eagles of Nigeria playing draws in their first 3 matches. And then in matches where they could have picked the maximum 9 points, the Super Eagles of Nigeria could only pick 3 points in 9 matches. 3 points from the maximum 9 points. So 6 points gone already from that one. And after that, they also lost to Benin. That's another 3 points gone. After losing to Benin, they played Rwanda, they picked the 3 maximum points. What happened again when they had already raised the hopes of Nigerians, especially after beating Rwanda away from home. They came to Nigeria here and they dropped points. They could only pick 1 point. So, as in right from the beginning, things went wrong. From the very beginning, things went wrong in the qualifiers. And as it is now, we have a lot of permutations, calculations to do. Anyway, Nigerians are used to this already. Watching the documentary, watching a particular documentary, there was a particular World Cup where we had to bring out our calculators, doing the permutations, calculations, if, when, what. Nigerians are used to this already. That's one thing about us. We've developed thick skin. In fact, I'm proud to be a Nigerian because we've actually developed a very thick skin to all these things. So as I was saying, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will play by 5 p.m. today, and they win. They need a win in this match. They need a win in this match. So people are still, banking on point deduction. But let's just take that aside. Since nothing is really being said about that, let's just face the situation we have right now. The situation we have right now is that we have to win today's match. And if we want to even, if we really want to boost our chances the more, well, what stops us from winning today's match by 3 goals to nil? But Nigerians begin to be like, hey, can we beat South Africa 3 goals to nil in South Africa? I'm looking at the form of Bafana has been in a terrific form. They've remained unbeaten in their last 5 matches. They've actually remained unbeaten in their last 5 matches at home. All their own matches. They've not lost any of their own matches in the World Cup qualifiers, and they've remained unbeaten in 5 matches, and they have won 4 matches in a row. They've got real record, as in they've got good record. So one will now wonder that can the Super Eagles of Nigeria actually defeat them by 2 or 3-0 today? But let's just even pick the maximum point today. If we cannot defeat them by 3-0 or 2-0 today, let's just win. At least if we win today, we'll narrow down the gap. The gap will now be like 3, as in it will now be 3 points between us, unlike the 6 points between us now. As I said, Rwanda is already playing against Zimbabwe now. And Rwanda is playing away from home. You can imagine. And they have scored. One thing about this Rwanda team. Looking at the qualifiers now, let me read out all the matches South Africa have played in the qualifiers. In their first match, they defeated Benin Republic by 2-1. In their second match, they lost to Rwanda. Rwanda is the only team that have beaten Bafana of South Africa in these qualifiers. So South Africa lost to Rwanda in their second match by 2-0. In their third match, of course, they came to Nigeria. They played a 1-0 draw with Nigeria. In their fourth match, they played against Zimbabwe. They beat Zimbabwe. They defeated Zimbabwe 3-1. In their fifth match, they defeated Lesotho in that one that everybody is saying that they fielded. What's the name of the? I've forgotten the name of. Sorry, I've forgotten his name now. A player who should have played in the match, who was not eligible to play in the match, that was fielded in the match. Is it okay? Tebo Mokoena was fielded in the match, but then they won the match by 2-0 in that match. After that, they also played against Benin Republic again. They defeated Benin Republic by 2-0. And in their last match, they defeated Lesotho by 3-0. So the only team that has defeated Bafana in these qualifiers is Rwanda. And then Rwanda, they are still going to play Rwanda. Was Rwanda at home in that match? Okay, Rwanda were at home in that match. It was a home match for Rwanda. And Rwanda beat them 2-0, defeated them 2-0. But as it is now, Rwanda is also playing against Zimbabwe, although it's more or less like a neutral ground because Zimbabwe does not really have a home ground like that. They play in more or less like a neutral ground, but at least they've made the neutral ground. It's like adapting to where you play. You understand? So as it is now, halftime, Rwanda is defeating them. So I keep on looking at it. Apart from South Africa playing Nigeria today, because they're going to play them, the remaining matches South Africa have to play now will be against Zimbabwe, and after they play against Zimbabwe, they'll play their last match against Rwanda. And if looking at what is happening in this group is anything to go by, maybe we can say that Rwanda can, maybe they can help us. It has come to that, it has come to that now. Since we are talking about permutations, calculations, if, when, and so, let's just begin to, look at it like that. They defeated Bafana, and they are the only team that has defeated Bafana. So maybe luck can just smile on us, and but then before we even start saying maybe, let us do our own part by winning today. It is when we win today that we can start saying maybe, when, if. So let us win today first, because if we do not win today, then there's no realistic way of qualifying. Truth be told, I'm looking at the runners-up group. That's Group J now, the group of the runners-up, where they group all the runners-up. The first team in that runners-up group Okay, let me just quickly look at because I actually put down the group in a place. Sorry. Okay, looking at the runners group, that's group J. The first thing in that group is Gabon. Gabon has 18 points. They are the runners up in their own group. They have 18 points. In fact, the first two teams in this runners up group, 18, 16, 15, 15. Then the Republic that are second in our own group have 11 points. So as it is, we can't even finish. If we say we want to finish as runners up, I mean, it is not even, look at it. Look at the runners up group, Gabon occupy the first position, they have 18 points. Madagascar are second, they have 16 points. Cameroon are third, they have 15 points. Senegal are fourth, 15 points. In fact, Uganda are gone, they are fifth, they have 15 points. In the runners up group, Burkina Faso are sixth, they have 14 points. Namibia are seventh, they have 12 points. So the second team in our group, the Republic, does not even rank among the first, does not even rank among the best 7 runners up. So, that's the more reason why the Super Eagles of Nigeria must win today. In fact, must not only win, must win convincingly. Because looking at it now, South Africa have a goal difference of +8. The Super Eagles of Nigeria have a goal difference of +2. If we beat them today, perhaps, okay, let's say we beat them today by 2 goals to 0. Okay, that means, okay, the Super Eagles of Nigeria now has scored 8 goals. They considered 6 goals in the qualifiers. If we defeat South Africa today, let's say we defeat them by 2-0. So that means we will have scored 10 goals now. We will have scored 10 goals and considered 6 goals. That will still be +4 goals difference. Is that enough to Bafana +8 goals difference? So we have to win today. We not only have to win, but we have to be convincing in our victory today. So the Super Eagles of Nigeria have to just get the job done. Can they do it? Looking at the past record, Nigeria, there's nothing. See, that's what I was saying. I was telling someone that commented on one program I was doing. I was telling the person said, with the way the Super Eagles of Nigeria played against, with the way the Super Eagles of Nigeria played against Rwanda in our last match, that forget it, that the Super Eagles just forget it. They should not raise their hopes. And I said, looking at from the past experiences, you can't just write up Nigeria like that. When the chiefs are down, that is when the Super Eagles of Nigeria bring in their A game. When you are beating them up completely, when you are completely written off the Super Eagles of Nigeria, that is when they bring in their A game. But whether the kind of players we have in camp now can do it is what I don't know. But then we've got talented players in camp. We've got talented players like Alex Iwobi, the African Footballer of the Year, Ademola Lookman. There's even Tolu Arokodare, who was spectacular in our last match against Rwanda. So we've got the quality that can do it. And the Niger spirits, the Super Falcons of Nigeria, let me just address the bit. When the Super Falcons of Nigeria were going to the WAFCON, nobody gave them a chance. I remember in one of my analysis, I was saying Zimbabwe, I was saying Zambia. I've got the likes of Rachel Kundananji, Barbara. What happened at the end of the day? The Super Falcons of Nigeria defeated Zambia 5-0. I'm talking about our female team. Any team, whether Super Falcons or whether Super Eagles, they have the ability to rise up to the occasion when the chiefs are down, when people are beating them up. That is when they bring in their A game the most, when the chiefs are down. That is why I'm not writing them off completely. We can even be surprised today. They might actually defeat South Africa by a wide margin today. That is the unpredictability of the Super Eagles for you. So they cannot be written off. We can't write them off completely. The Super Eagles of Nigeria cannot be written off. Although we are in a very tight corner now, but no, they cannot be written off. If you begin to watch documentaries of Nigerian past qualifiers, for those of us that watch documentaries very well on TV, if you begin to watch documentaries, there's a particular World Cup, that's Korea Japan 2002. Go and watch the documentary. The Super Eagles of Nigeria did not have any chance in that particular. I mean, the campaign was not like this one because we didn't have. Then there wasn't 6 teams in the group. It was just 4 teams in the group. And then it was just the final match, according to that documentary. It was just the final match. And Nigeria needed to play a particular team at home, and Liberia also needed to play a particular team at home. And Liberia had their destiny in their hands. And from everything that was going on in the qualifiers, Liberia were already doing well. They were riding high. They had the support of George Weah. They had the support of George Weah, who really motivated the team financially, morally, everything. So what happened on that day, on that final day? Please go and watch the documentary. They have not watched it. What happened in the final day? the Super Eagles of Nigeria won their own match, although they didn't have their destiny, because even if they won the match and Liberia won, or and Liberia win their own match, Liberia will qualify ahead of Nigeria. You understand? Because Liberia had their own destiny in their hands. So the final matches were just 2 home games. Liberia needed to win at home. The Super Eagles, regardless of whether they won or not, they were not going to go as long as Liberia won the match. What happened? Liberia lost that match. Liberia lost that match at home, and the Super Eagles of Nigeria won the match at home, and Nigeria qualified for the World Cup. So please, let us not write off the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Anything can happen in football. So I'm just saying this to really raise the hopes of Nigerians, to boost our morale, because some people have really lost hope. Me, I've not lost hope. I'm so confident. As in, I've not lost hope. I'm a Nigerian. I'm a passionate Nigerian. I follow Nigerian football. I've not lost hope. The Super Eagles can still qualify. Today, they might still no surprises. You understand? So many people have been saying Nigeria off. Victor Osimhen will not be playing today. I heard South Africans saying, no, they want Victor Osimhen to play. So that by the time they beat us, you'll know that they defeated a full Nigerian squad. Is it not good that it's not going to be playing? So that by the time they defeat us, by the time we defeat them, they will know that Nigeria, although at times the way we do things, and then we cannot really, the way, there are some ways that some people are wired, as in, there are some things they cannot change, there are some things we cannot change in something, as in a way. But as it is now, we have found ourselves in a difficult situation like this. But this is not the first time Nigeria will be finding themselves in a difficult situation. This is not the first time Nigerians will be bringing calculators out and be saying, oh, what happens if this one defeat this one? Will this one go? What happened? This is not the first time we'll be banking on another thing. I can't even remember, according to that documentary, I can't remember the country that this was the favor, but even was defeat Liberia. I can't remember that country. But what I just saw that was that at the end of the day, we won. And talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, let me start talking now. There was a particular Nations Cup. I think that was Ghana Nigeria 2000, because lately I've been watching a lot of documentaries on TV now. Lately, Ghana Nigeria 2000, because because 1998 1998 African Cup of Nations, the Super Eagles of Nigeria did not go for the 1998 African Cup of Nations. So Bafana won. I think the Bafana won. So of course, we're coming in as defending champions, and they met the Super Eagles of Nigeria in the semi-final. Bragging right before the match, a lot of talks between coaches, between players, blah blah blah. What happened? Tijani Babangida was the one that just did the work for Nigeria. In fact, he just came on the field. He didn't allow them to settle at all. Talk about Babangida, a player that could make use of the flanks very well with his speed, very diminutive, and the way he plays. Before South Africans will even settle down and say, what is happening? He scored the first goal. Before another thing, he scored the second goal. He defeated the Bafana of South Africa by 2 goals to 3 in that match. It was a match that the Super Eagles were not really rated to win, although we were hosting that particular African Cup of Nations. We defeated South Africa by 2 goals to 1. That's one. That's the scenario. That's even better because we still have a very, very quality team then. I'm not saying we don't have a quality team now. Another African Cup of Nations, I think it was in Tunisia 2004. We also met South Africa. I think it was in Tunisia 2004. We met them. We defeated South Africa by 4 goals to 0. Not so many people gave the Super Eagles a chance then too, because I remember not so many people gave Nigeria a chance. We defeated them by 4 goals to 0 in that match. As in talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And at that particular Nations Cup, we also met Cameroon. And I remember before we met Cameroon, in fact, before the Nations Cup started, when the Gugge song was asked, the Cameroonian Gugge song, because Cameroon, they were very hot then. Cameroon won the 2002 Nations Cup. So they were coming in to that Nations Cup as the favorites, and they were very hot. And they met the Super Eagles of Nigeria in the semi-final, was it in the semi-final, in the quarterfinals of the 2004 Tunisia 2004 Nations Cup. So not so many people gave the Super Eagles of Nigeria a chance. Everybody wrote them off. Cameroon and Nigeria. Of course, Cameroon had the race and they were coming as the defending champions. Who did it? In fact, I have that video. I still watch that video over and over again for you to know how much I like that kind of narrative. They started the match. Joe Mitaka John Utaka from nowhere, as in the way he just scored the goal, and JJ Okocha with his superb free kick, and we just silence them. That is the Nigeria spirit for you. You know, so when I'm talking about all these things, it makes me happy. When I talk about Nigeria in such a way, it makes me very happy that it is when you are greasing them up that they can spring those surprises. You know, John Utaka scored the first goal, and Samuel Eto'o played that match. Some played that. Everybody, the who in Cameroon, in Cameroonian football, there, everybody played. Samuel Eto'o was there. Some was there. They were there. John Utaka scored first. JJ Okocha scored another free kick, spectacular free kick. And at the end of the day, Nigeria defeated by 2-1. So please, don't let us write Nigeria off. If Nigeria could do that then, Nigeria can still do that now. So that is my own story I want to say. But then, that said, the truth must be said. It's about time we stop finding ourselves in difficult or tight corners. It's about time. Because can you imagine when the draws for these qualifiers were made, not so many people thought that at the end of the day, we actually bring our calculators. Because it wasn't yesterday night. I calculated to a point that I had to stop calculating. I started watching film. I didn't calculate again. But I said I calculated to that point. So, you know, it's high time this stopped. It's high time we stop putting ourselves in situations whereby we not start calculating, bringing out the calculators. You know, when so many people have done calculation to the extent that I just feel like, this one can do calculation. No, but it shouldn't really be like that. You know, we should really do our homework. We should prepare for major events or qualifiers. That's because when the draws were made, the only thing that one thought would really give the Super Eagles of Nigeria a real fight in this group was South Africa, and of course they are really giving us a fight. But nobody thought that we could lose to teams like, or that we could be playing draws or dropping points easily like that. So it now means that the Super Eagles of Nigeria in 7 matches now, the Super Eagles of Nigeria in 7 matches have picked 10 points. Let's look at Tunisia. Tunisia have qualified for the World Cup. Tunisia in 7 matches, they picked 22 points. That means they only dropped 1 point. That's talking about Tunisia. They only played a draw. You understand? They dropped 2 points. They played a draw. That was where they dropped the 2 points. So Tunisia picked 22 points from the 24 maximum points out of the matches they played. That is the kind of, the Super Eagles on Nigeria should just take a cue from things like that. Tunisia now they are through to the World Cup. Morocco are also through to the World Cup, and they are praying. They are really praying that the Super Eagles of Nigeria should also join them. But you know, we should just look at things like that, things like Tunisia, Morocco, things that lead by example. Of course, people will say that look at the group Tunisia is. I'm sure that with the way the Super Eagles are really taking this qualifiers, if we were in the same group Tunisia is, it's still the same narrative that will be, because people will be like, is it the same group? But how do you say that it's not the same group? A team that, okay, I will get to know, I will read out the teams in the group of Tunisia. It's just like having a team like we have now, Lesotho. No disrespect to anything. Everything is good. Everything has earned their race, and that's why they are there. Everything deserves to even go to the World Cup. Everything is good. No disrespect. I'm just saying that with the pedigree of Nigeria, that there are some things that we should not be picking points with. We should not be sharing points with our pedigree in football. We shouldn't be sharing points with some things. So the Super Eagles on Nigeria as a whole should take a cue from a team like Tunisia. Tunisia picked the maximum 24 points. The maximum 20. They picked 22 points out of their available maximum 24 points. That is an example of a team that is leading by example. And of course, they've already qualified for the World Cup. They've already qualified for the World Cup. So now let's talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Bafana of South Africa. Talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, 3 coaches abandoned us in this qualifiers. The first coach was Jose Pesero, and in the qualifiers, first of all, we played against Zimbabwe. We played against Lesotho in Nigeria here. It was 1-1 draw. Then the second match, we played against Zimbabwe, and it was also a 1-1 draw. Nigerians, of course, they didn't like that, but because the qualifiers were just starting, you know, our excuse was that, don't worry, by the time they play the remaining qualifiers, they will take them seriously. So we wait for the Nations Cup after those 2 matches. We go to the Nations Cup. In fact, before the Nations Cup too, many people wrote off Nigeria because of our performances in the first 2 qualifiers. But we got there, when we got to the Nations Cup, we got to the final in a way that, till now, not so many people can explain, because defeating the likes of Cote d'Ivoire in the first round before they beat us in the final, and defeating the likes of Bafana, teams that were highly rated than us before or teams that people gave the chance to go far more than Nigeria. We went ahead of them and we got to the final of the African Cup of Nations. So Ose Pesero was the one in charge of the first 2 games. After Finidi George took over, Finidi George was in charge of the match between Nigeria and South Africa. The one we played, the one that ended in a 1-0 draw in Nigeria. And then after that again, he was also in charge of the one we played against Rwanda. Okay, yeah, he was also the one in charge of the one we played against Benin Republic, where they defeated them by 2-1. So because of his performance in these 2 matches, people were like, what is all this? So he was removed. I don't want to use the word he was sacked, but he was relieved of his job, and then Evichel was appointed as the coach of the Super Eagles. Another Evichel, in fairness to Evichel, I said he has given us 2 victories in this World Cup qualifier. We have 2 victories and we have a draw. So by the special grace of God Almighty, by the special grace of God, if we defeat South Africa today, it will make it 3 victories under Evichel in competitive matches for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So I pray we defeat South Africa today for bragging rights and for the fact that we really need to see the Super Eagles in the World Cup. I just pray we defeat South Africa today, because if it is otherwise, it's just a matter of not holding my phone or not. Some of us will not just hold our phones for like probably a week. Otherwise, anything you see by, you just like, all the trolls now. Some people don't have ask for trolls. They just be like, I don't want all these ones there. So the Super Eagles should just do us a favor today by winning for us against South Africa. We pray that by the special grace of God, although this is just being sentimental, and prayer, like, it's really you doing your own part, but let's just pray for the prayer works as well. By the special grace of God, Nigeria will win today's match. They will not only win today's match, they will win their remaining 2 matches, and every result in the group will favor us, and we just see ourselves in the USA, Canada, and Mexico. Amen. The coach of South Africa is Igbo Bruce, and as I said, South Africa have remained unbeaten in their last 5 qualifiers, and they have won out of those 5 qualifiers. They picked the draw in one of them. Remaining, they won 4 matches in a row. 4 matches. They defeated Zimbabwe 3-1. They defeated Lesotho 2-0. They defeated Benin Republic 2-0, and they defeated Lesotho again 3-0. So they have won 4 matches in a row. And they are playing this match at home on home soil. They've also been unbeaten in the World Cup qualifiers on home soil. So as I said, the Super Eagles of Nigeria must win this match to stay in the race. Because if you finish second, it's not even, you can't even finish second. You know why? Because even Benin Republic, that's the second in our group, does not even rank among the best 7 runners-up. They don't rank among the best 7 runners-up as it is now. So the Super Eagles cannot even finish second because we are not, and don't forget that it's only the first best second place teams that will go to the playoff. So the Super Eagles of Nigeria should just win this match. And even if they go to the playoff, what is the guarantee or what is the assurance that they will win the CAF playoff that comprise of 4 teams? And even if they win the CAF playoff, what is the assurance or guarantee that they will go and win the Intercontinental playoff? It's a long thing. You understand? It's a long thing, and this, I don't think these things are very, feasible. Don't let me, you understand? So the best thing is for us to just win the many matches we have now. That's talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And don't forget that the last time South Africa went to the World Cup was in 2010, where they hosted it. That was 15 years ago. Okay, the last time the Super Eagles went was in 2008 in Russia. We went to Russia. But Bafana of South Africa, the last time they went was in 2010, when they hosted it. So imagine a child born in the year 2010. The child will be so grown now that the child will be a 15-year-old boy or girl. Imagine. So in 15 years, Bafana of South Africa have not been to the World Cup. So that's another thing entirely. So I'm talking about South Africa. The star player to watch out for is Foster. Lyle Foster, the one that plays for Burnley. He's a very intelligent attacker. He's so brilliant. In the qualifiers for South Africa, he has already scored, although as I said in my preview, 10 different South Africa has scored 13 goals. And out of those 13 goals, 10 different players have scored for them. 10 different players. So it shows the depth of the squad. It shows how good the Bafana team is. You can just say anybody can score for them. Defender can score, midfielder can score. From any angle they can just score. So it shows that the team is a very good team. Talking about Bafana, and the player that I picked, the player to watch out for is Lau Foster. He plays for Burnley, and in this qualifiers he has scored 2 goals and has provided 1 assist against Lesotho. He scored a goal in that match. That's their last match. The way they defeated Lesotho 3-0. He scored a goal and he provided 1 assist. That's talking about Foster. So, and of course, because Sina will not be playing today, he's injured. He picked up a bruise on his chin when he played in the last match against Rwanda. He's not going to play today. So, we are going to miss his service. I pray we don't really, because saying that we are going to miss the services will mean that probably that we are not thinking that we can do well, but that God's grace will do so well that he himself will be proud of us wherever he is right now. He will be proud of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Now looking at the head-to-head record between, first of all, the Bafana of South Africa, they are ranked 56th in the world, while the Super Eagles of Nigeria are ranked 44th in the world. I'm looking at the head-to-head record between Nigeria and Bafana. In the last 5 matches, I'm going to read out the last 5 matches between Bafana and Nigeria. But before I say this, in the last 10 matches between Nigeria and South Africa, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, in our last 10 matches between the two teams, the Super Eagles have scored 10 goals and Bafana has scored 9 goals. So it just shows that the matches between Nigeria and South Africa are usually keenly contested. They've always been keenly contested. The matches between the two teams have always been keenly contested. So in the last 10 meetings between Nigeria and South Africa, the Super Eagles of Nigeria have scored 10 goals and South Africa has scored 9 goals. But I'm going to narrow it down to our last 5 matches now. The Super Eagles of Nigeria and South Africa met in June 2024. That was last year in the World Cup qualifier. The match ended in a 1-0 draw, and Zwane scored first for South Africa. That match, and the Super Eagles had previously picked 2 draws in their first 2 qualifiers. So in this 3rd match, people were hoping that it will change, that the situation will change. But when they started the match, South Africa was the first to score. And at the end of the day, Nigeria had to rally around. They had to pull one back. So the match ended in a 1-0 draw. That was in June 2024. That was the last time Nigeria and South Africa met. They also met in February last year, 2024, in the same where Nigeria won 4-2 on penalties after the match ended in a thrilling 1-0 draw. That match was so interesting. It was a good advert of football, as the match was so interesting. The match between Nigeria and South Africa, that one had been in the semi-final of the Nations Cup. It was so thrilling and it was really keenly contested. At the end of the day, it ended in a 1-0 draw. Nigeria won 4-2 on penalties. They also met in July 2019. Nigeria defeated South Africa 2-1 in that match. That was the Cup of Nations. And by the way, South Africa hosted the Africa Cup of Nations in 2019. So the last time we played against South Africa, we defeated them 2-1. So that should give us another hope. The last time the Super Eagles of Nigeria and South Africa played in South Africa, the match ended 2-1 to the Super Eagles of Nigeria. That was at the African Cup of Nations in 2019. South Africa hosted it and Nigeria won. Nigeria defeated them on home soil 2-1. So that should also give us some confidence going into that match. We also met in November 2008. This time around it was in the African Cup of Nations qualification. It was a qualifier and we played a 1-0 draw. And lastly, we met in June 2017. That was also in the African Cup of Nations qualification, and South Africa defeated Nigeria 2-0. And South Africa defeated Nigeria 2-0 in that match. So looking at Group C, in Group C now, as I said before I started this program, it was 1-0 in favor of Rwanda. The match between Rwanda and Zimbabwe was 1-0 as at halftime. I really don't know the record of it now. But as at halftime, before I started, it was 1-0. And if the result as at halftime is anything to go by, that means South Africa have 16 points, and that means Benin are second, and Rwanda are third. I don't know the scoreline now, but when I checked, it was 1-0 in favor of Rwanda. Rwanda are defeating Zimbabwe away from home. So according to that result, now it now means that Benin Republic are still second according to that result of the halftime. It now means that Rwanda are fourth and Nigeria are third and Nigeria are fourth. And it means that Lesotho are fifth and Zimbabwe are sixth. So that's what it means now. So from the group now, we see that South Africa have a goal difference of 8 and Nigeria have a goal difference of 2. So assuming we defeat South Africa by 3 goals to 0 today, don't just tell me that it's not possible. There's nothing impossible in football. Anything can happen. Don't forget that we're talking about Super Eagles. So I'm just assuming anyway, assuming we defeat South Africa by 3 goals to 0 today, it will mean that the Super Eagles of Nigeria would now have scored 8 plus 3. That's 11 goals, and they consider 6 goals. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it will now mean that we have a goal difference of plus 5. And South Africa has scored 13 goals now, and they consider 5. So if they consider 3 from Nigeria today, that means they consider 8. That's 13 minus 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So can you imagine? We can both have the same goal difference. We beat them 3-0 today. Yes. If we defeat South Africa 3-0 today, that means Nigeria will have scored, because already we have scored 8 goals now in the qualifiers, and we have considered 6 goals. So if we score 3 more today, that means we have 11 goals, and let's deduct 6 from 11, that's 5. So that's plus 5 goal difference. So South Africa now, they have a goal difference of plus 8. If you defeat them by 3 goals to 0 today, that means that they scored 13 goals, and they've considered 8 goals. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So the two of us will be on the same goal difference. Forget point deduction now. As now, okay, so that will now mean that we still throw them by 3 points. That's what it will mean. It will mean that we still throw them by 3 points. But then we can count on some things to do us favor. A team like Rwanda is us. Like Rwanda is the only team that has defeated South Africa in the qualifiers. They are the only team as they defeated the Bafana 2-0 in their second match. So we can be hopeful. Let's be hopeful. It's good to be positive. It's not all about we have to be optimistic. It's good to be very positive. So looking at the remaining matches, the Super Eagles will play in the qualifiers. Apart from playing South Africa today, in the qualifiers now, we have a home game against Lesotho. That's in October now. After taking on South Africa today, and by the grace of God, after getting a positive result today, so we now play against Lesotho. So we'll be at Lesotho will be at home. Lesotho will host Nigeria. That's an away match. The Super Eagles will have that away match against Lesotho. So our final match will now be against Benin Republic in Nigeria. So those are the remaining matches for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. For South Africa, here are their remaining matches. They are going to play against Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe will be playing at home. Zimbabwe will host them, so they will be playing against Zimbabwe. And they are on match day 10, that's the final match. They will host Rwanda. And as I keep saying, this is football. Never say never until it is over. In football, anything can happen. So those are the remaining matches South Africa will play. After playing us today, they will take on Zimbabwe will host them, then they will take on Rwanda. Now, how did the Super Eagles of Nigeria find themselves in this situation we are now? How did we even find ourselves? I'm going to look at, as in we are going to explain how we got here, or I'm going to read out how we got to this point. How did we find ourselves in this situation? The first one was Nigeria and Lesotho. We played against Lesotho. We hosted them in Nigeria. And you can imagine in that match, Lesotho was the first to score in that match. They scored in the 56th minute of that match. Then after they scored, Semi Ajayi now equalized for Nigeria in the 67th minute. So both goals were scored in the second half. That's talking about Nigeria and Lesotho. That was our first match. Lesotho were the first to score. They came to Nigeria. Obviously, they had the game plan. Because all these things that played against us, they came with a game plan. And they really executed their game plan. They really executed their game plans very well. So Lesotho were the first to score in that match. They scored in the 56th minute. And Nigeria pulled one back in the 67th minute. And so Nigeria picked only 1 point in that match. So that's 1 point. In the second match, we traveled to Zimbabwe to play against Zimbabwe. So when we got to Zimbabwe were also the first to score. They were the hosts, of course. They scored in the 26th minute. And after they scored in the 26th minute, Kelechi Iheanacho equalized for Nigeria in the 67th minute. So the match was played in Zimbabwe, and Nigeria picked another 1 point in that match. So in 2 matches that we dropped 4 points. So we picked 2 points in 2 matches. So that was our second match now. That's talking about Zimbabwe and Nigeria. That was an away match. Kelechi Iheanacho was the one that scored for Nigeria. And the third, and so after that, after those first 2 matches, of course, we went for the Nations Cup and we finished as runners up in the Nations Cup. Then after that, the qualifiers resumed again, and Nigeria hosted South Africa. And we were playing at home, of course, before the match against South Africa. You know, at the African Cup of Nations, Nigeria and South Africa, they played a 1-1 draw. We ended the penalty shootouts. We won them on penalties. We defeated them on penalties. Of course, not. So, of course, they were coming. They were also coming to play. They knew that they were coming to play the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and they prepared very well for the match. And they scored in the 29th minute. After they scored in the 29th minute, Fisao Dele Bashiru scored in the 46th minute. So, in our first 3 matches, we actually came from behind to score. We came from behind to pick a point in our first 3 matches. So the Super Eagles in our first 3 matches, instead of picking 9 points, we picked 3 points. So we dropped 6 points. You know, so we dropped 6 points. I'm just explaining how we got to this situation. After that, our 4th match was against the Republic. In fact, the first 20 minutes of that match, the Super Eagles played one of the best football. They dictated the tempo of the match. Their control was good. The passing was brilliant, sublime, and they scored. And after they scored, we expected them to maintain that tempo. But before we could even see anything, the Republic equalized, and they went ahead to win the match. And the match ended 2-1 in favor of Benin. And in that one, we dropped 3 points. So that's like 4 matches, 4 times 3, 12. Where we could have picked 12 points or 12 maximum points, we were able to pick just 3 points. We were able to pick 3 points out of the maximum 12 points available in our first 4 matches. We picked only 3 points. So that was where, from that time, you know, a lot of people were now beginning to wonder that, as in, like, this is World Cup qualifier, what is happening? You know, out of the 12 maximum points, we picked 3 points in our first 4 matches. So when we played against the Republic, Nigeria were the first to score in the match. Rafael Onyedika scored the first goal for Nigeria in the 27th minute, and after he scored, of course, the Republic took over from them, and they won the match. So we made it 3 points out of 12 maximum points. In our 5th match, we played against Rwanda. Rwanda hosted us, and of course, that was the first match we won in the World Cup qualifier. We picked 3 points in that one. So that was our 5th match. So out of the available 15 points, we had 6 points in that match. So 6 out of 15 points. Victor Osimhen scored the 2 goals for Nigeria. He scored in the 11th minute, and he scored in the additional time of the first half. The match was, of course, played in Rwanda. And in our 6th match, you know, the Super Eagles, they really raised our hope by defeating Rwanda for us. So what we needed then was that come to Nigeria now, come and defeat Zimbabwe, and narrow the gap between Nigeria and South Africa, defeat Zimbabwe, and then, you know, just narrow the gap. But what happened? We picked up a draw in that match. Because Osimhen scored for Nigeria. And that match, before we could even score, you know, we were already worried that the goals were not coming. And eventually we scored in the 74th minute. And after we scored in the 74th minute, Zimbabwe now scored in the very towards the 9th minute of the match, and they picked a point. We could only pick a point from that match. And in that last match against Rwanda, we also picked another 3 points. So Aroko, who was making his 2nd appearance for Nigeria, because he made his debut at the Unity Cup. He was making his 2nd appearance for Nigeria, and he scored for Nigeria in the 51st minute. And as a result, a lot of people are rooting for him. We just pray that by God's grace today, he really plays very well. Because already a lot of people are rooting for him. We just want him to really, you know, we want him to really perform very well today and make Nigerians happy. He came in the match and he scored a very, you know, a kind of goal you describe as in the way he scored the goal, as you know that he's a man or he's a guy that can really, as in, how would I say it now? He scored the goal he scored the goal when the goal was needed, number one, and his body action, everything said it all. That I mean, it really showed the charisma needed at that moment. That's talking about Tolu Arokodare. So people are really rooting for him, and we hope that he really plays very well today. And we hope that he scores today, and then other players score as well. So that's all about how Nigeria got to this point. So as it is now, the Super Eagles of Nigeria have 10 points from the maximum 24 points we should have picked. So the Super Eagles dropped 14 points and they picked 10 points out of the maximum 24 points we should have picked. Is it 24 points? Yeah, we played 7 matches. We played 7 matches, right? Oh, Tunisia played their 8 matches. Tunisia played 8 matches. Oh, we played 7 matches. That's 21 points. So the Super Eagles of Nigeria have picked 10 points now from the maximum 21 points available that we could have picked. So we dropped 11 out of 21 points because we played 7 matches and we dropped 11. So we have 10 points now. Now looking at the Super Eagles of Nigeria in a match against Rwanda, Nwabali was in goal, Stanley Nwabali was in goal, and we saw Benjamin Frederick. Sorry, let me just stick with the Benjamin. He came ahead of 2 seconds in the match, and we saw the way he was brilliant in the match. He showed a lot of brilliance, discipline, and then from what he played that day, he has a long way. From what he played that day, he won the heart of many Nigerians. We saw him. Then we also saw Calvin Bassey in defense. We saw Olaino, Bruno Yemachi. Then we saw Wilfred Ndidi in midfield. There was also Alex Iwobi, Frank Onyeka. Ademola Lookman also played for Nigeria. Moses Simon, Victor Osimhen got injured in the 35th minute of the match. He got injured in the 35th minute of the match. And for those who came in as substitutes, we saw Tolu Arokodare coming on as a substitute, and he scored the goal for Nigeria in the 51st minute. Fisayo Dele Bashiru also came on as a substitute. The captain himself, William Ekong, came on as a substitute. Sidi Desas also came on as a substitute, and Bright Osayi Samuel came on as a substitute. Then for South Africa, this was when they lined up against Lesotho. In goal, they had Rowan Williams. Then in defense, they had Mobi. Monoisane is injured. Monoisane will not play in today's match. They also featured Mbokazi, Modiba. I don't think Modiba too will play today. I think he got injured. I don't think he's going to play today. They also featured Tebo Mokwena. They featured Mbata, Nkota, Mbule, Apolis, and they featured Lam Foster. So that was the way the Bafana lined up against Lesotho. And as substitute, those that came in were Sebenebele, Renas, Ndiyawa, Ndamani, and Obas. Those are the players who came in as substitute for South Africa in the match. And for those who scored for South Africa in their last match against Lesotho, in their 3-0 win against Lesotho, we saw Nkota scoring. There was also Foster and Apolis also scoring as well. These players are very, very good and very pacey and fast players. So as I said, South Africa has scored 13 goals in the World Cup qualifiers, and they have considered 5 goals, while the Super Eagles of Nigeria have scored 8 goals and have considered 6 goals. And then for all those who have scored for South Africa in the ongoing World Cup qualifiers, because as I said, South Africa has scored 13 goals. So for all those who have scored, we have Pesitao, he's one of the goal scorers. K. Mudao, that's his initial anyway. Zwane scored against Nigeria when they came to Nigeria. He was one that scored the only goal for South Africa in the match against Nigeria. We also have Leinas, Morena. Morena has scored 2 goals for South Africa in this campaign. Mofokeng, J. Adams, Lam Foster. J. Adams has also scored 2 goals in this campaign. As I said, Foster too has scored 2 goals in this campaign. Nkota, Apoli, so Lam Foster too has scored 2 goals. So these are all the players who have scored for South Africa in the ongoing World Cup qualifiers. So I can get the result of the match because the match will have ended by now. The result of the match between Rwanda and Zimbabwe. I'll pass it across. Match the 7 results. So the following matches were played on match 7. That was the match. I mean, these matches were played before this match, the 8th PC. Let me quickly read it out. Seychelles lost to Gabon 4-0. Chad played the 1-0 draw with Ghana. Yesterday we saw Ghana defeating Mali by one goal to me at home. So Ghana picked the maximum 3 points yesterday. So they have already they have already increased their chances of qualifying for the World Cup. They've not qualified yet because the only African countries that have qualified for the World Cup are Morocco and Tunisia. But yesterday's results really increased the chances of Ghana qualifying for the World Cup. So yesterday, okay, on March the 7th, Ghana played a 1-0 draw with Chad. Madagascar defeated Central African Republic 2-0. Sao Tome and Principe lost to Equatorial Guinea by 3-2. Angola lost to Libya 1-0. Guinea-Bissau played a 1-0 draw with Sierra Leone. Mauritius lost to Cape Verde 2-0. Cameroon defeated Eswatini 3-0. Algeria defeated Botswana 3-1. Mali defeated Comoros 3-0. Tunisia defeated Liberia 3-0. I'm looking at my December fixture. Somalia lost to Guinea 3-0. Kenya lost to Gambia 3-1. Namibia lost to Malawi 2-1. South Sudan lost to DR Congo 4-1. Uganda defeated Mozambique 4-0. Benin defeated Zimbabwe 1-0. Congo played a 1-0 draw with Tanzania. Djibouti lost to Burkina Faso 6-0. Lesotho lost to South Africa 3-0. Those are my December fixtures I'm reading out. Then we still have, on my December, we still have Mauritania defeating Togo 2-0. Senegal defeating Sudan 2-0. Morocco defeating Niger Republic 5-0. Ivory Coast defeating Burundi 1-0. Egypt defeating Ethiopia 2-0. Mauritius losing to Cape Verde 2-0. And the Super Eagles of Nigeria defeated Rwanda 1-0. So those were the March the 7th fixtures. March the 8th fixtures, those were the matches that started from yesterday. We saw Central African Republic losing to Comoros 2-0. Equatorial Guinea lost to Tunisia 1-0. Zambia lost to Morocco 2-0. Can you imagine? Despite the fact that the Accra Lions of Morocco are already qualified for the World Cup. They also played an away match to Zambia yesterday. They were already qualified though. They played an away match to Zambia yesterday and they defeated the Chipolopolo of Zambia by 2-0. So this is talking about a team that knows how to lead by example. So the Super Eagles of Nigeria should take a cue from a team like Morocco. They were already qualified for the World Cup. They qualified with 2 matches to Spain. And one of the matches was played yesterday and they won the game 2-0. They defeated, and they did not just win. They defeated Zambia. You know the way Zambia plays football. They play good football. Zambia were at home and they lost to Morocco by 2-0. So Mozambique defeated Botswana 2-0. Madagascar defeated Chad 3-1. Guinea played a goalless draw with Algeria. Malawi played a 2-2 draw with Liberia. Guinea-Bissau defeated Djibouti 2-0. Uganda defeated Somalia 2-0. Libya defeated Eswatini 2-0. Ghana, as I said, defeated Mali 1-0. So those were the matches played yesterday. And in today's matches, Namibia, all these matches should have been concluded by now. Okay? All these matches should have been concluded by now. The match between Namibia, Sao Tome should have been concluded by now. Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, because all of them started 2 p.m. Kenya, okay, as at the time I checked the match between Kenya and Seychelles, Kenya were leading them by 4-0. Kenya were leading Seychelles by 4-0 as at halftime. I don't know what it is now, but as at halftime, they were leading Seychelles by 4-0. Zimbabwe, Rwanda, as at halftime was 1-0 in favor of Rwanda. Tanzania, Niger, 2 p.m. And by 5 p.m. today, by 5 p.m., when the Super Eagles will also start their match, Burkina Faso will be playing against Egypt. Togo will take on Sudan 5 p.m. South Africa, Nigeria, of course, 5 p.m. Cape Verde, Cameroon, 5 p.m. DR Congo, Senegal, 5 p.m. Mauritania, South Sudan, 8 p.m. Gabon, Ivory Coast, 8 p.m. Angola, Mauritius, 8 p.m. tonight. Benin, Lesotho, 8 p.m. Benin are second in the group, so they are playing Lesotho tonight, 8 p.m. Gambia, Burundi, 8 p.m. Now let's look at the various groups now. For Group A, Egypt topped the group with 19 points. So they are although not concluded yet, but it is they are going to the World Cup. Although they are going to play their 8th match today. Egypt are first in Group A with 19 points. Burkina Faso are second with 14 points. Guinea-Bissau are third with 10 points. Sierra Leone are fourth with 9 points. Ethiopia are fifth with 6 points, and Djibouti are sixth with 1 point. In Group B, DR Congo are first with 16 points. Senegal are second with 15 points. Sudan are third with 12 points. Mauritania are fourth with 5 points. Togo are fifth with 4 points. South Sudan are sixth with 3 points. Then in Group C, where Nigeria, the Super Eagles of Nigeria are, South Africa are first with 16 points. Benin Republic are second. Benin Republic are second as the way it stands now with 11 points. Then Rwanda are third, 11 points. Nigeria are fourth, 10 points. Lesotho are fifth, 6 points. And Zimbabwe are sixth, 4 points. The South Africans have a goal difference of +5. Nigeria have a goal difference of +2. Lesotho have a goal difference of -4. Now looking at Group D, Cape Verde top the group with 16 points. Cameroon are second with 15 points. It's not yet concluded. The Indomitable Lions of Cameroon are second in Group D with 15 points. Libya are third with 14 points. Angola are fourth with 7 points. Mauritius are fifth with 5 points. And Eswatini are sixth with 2 points. Then in Group E, Morocco are first with 21 points. Tanzania are second with 10 points. Zambia are third with 6 points. Niger are fourth with 6 points. Congo are fifth with 1 point. Eritrea are sixth with no points. Group F, Ivory Coast are first, they have 19 points. Gabon are second, they have 18 points. Burundi are third, they have 10 points. Gambia are fourth, they have 7 points. Kenya are fifth, 6 points, they have 6 points. Seychelles are sixth with no points. Then in Group G, Algeria are first with 19 points. Uganda are second with 15 points. Mozambique are third with 15 points. Guinea are fourth with 11 points. Botswana are fifth with 9 points. And Somalia are sixth with 1 point. In Group H, Tunisia are first with 22 points. You know, Tunisia have already played 8 matches because they played yesterday and they became the second African country to qualify for the World Cup after Morocco. So, as I said earlier, in 8 matches, out of 24 points, Tunisia have picked 22 points. So Tunisia are through to the World Cup. They top Group H with 1 point. Namibia are second with 12 points. Liberia are third with 11 points. Malawi are fourth with 10 points. Equatorial Guinea are fifth with 10 points. Sao Tome and Principe are sixth with no points. And in Group I, Ghana are first, they have 19 points. Madagascar are second with 16 points. Comoros are third with 15 points. Mali are fourth with 12 points. Central African Republic are fifth with 5 points. And Chad are sixth with 1 point. That's Group I. So the match between Rwanda and Zimbabwe ended 1-0. So as it is now, Rwanda are third in the group, and they had 8 points, so they have 11 points. The Super Eagles are fourth, and they have 10 points. But at the end of today's match at the end of the remaining matches today, we see the standings in the group. But this is just the way it stands now. After today's matches, we'll see the standings in the group. So now looking at the group of the runners-up, I have to. So the Super Eagles of Nigeria will take on Bafana by 5 p.m. Nigerian time. What's your take on that match? Like, who do you think will win that match? Already, like as I am now, I don't know, as in there's this way I'm feeling like the anxiety. Should I say I'm anxious? The anxiety is there. As in there's this way I'm already feeling like I just want the Super Eagles to win. I want us to go to the World Cup. Like I don't want us to miss the World Cup back to back. No, especially now that it is an expanded World Cup. 48 teams are participating in this particular World Cup, and it will not be as in everybody wants the Super Eagles of Nigeria to qualify for this particular World Cup. But as it is now, the Super Eagles of Nigeria they are even fourth in the group now after today's match between Rwanda and Zimbabwe. They are fourth in the group, and a lot of people want the Super Eagles of Nigeria to qualify for the World Cup. A lot of Nigerians, like every patriotic Nigerian, like I'm a patriotic Nigerian, I want the Super Eagles to qualify for the World Cup. But let's just look at Group J. Group J is a compilation of the runners-up, like all those who are second in their group now. Because people are saying that if the Super Eagles of Nigeria cannot win the group, they can go through the playoff route, or they can go up through that route. And I begin to look at it. Let's just look at Group J now. Group J is the group of runners-up. Gabon are first in Group J they have 18 points. The one that came third today with their 11 points. Benin Republic, they are second in our group. They have 11 points. That is the second in our own group. Oh, they have 11 points. Do you know that on the runners-up table now, the country that is seventh have 12 points. The country that is seventh on the table have 12 points. So so the best seven now, Benin is not even part of the best seven, because we are talking about runners-up now. They are going to pick the 4 best runners-up. Those are the ones that will go into playoff. So as it is now, Gabon on the runners-up table, Gabon are first, they have 18 points. Madagascar are second, 16 points. Cameroon are third with 15 points on the runners-up table. Senegal are fourth with 15 points. Uganda are fifth with 15 points. Sixth with 14 points. Namibia are seventh with 12 points. Before Benin, they are now eighth. Benin are eighth on the runners-up table with 11 points. And Tanzania are 9 with 10 points. The Super Eagles of Nigeria now have 10 points. So what we need is just to win today's match. Because if the Super Eagles of Nigeria, they have to win today's match. Winning today's match is non-negotiable. They can't settle for a draw. If they settle for a draw, we cannot, to be realistic, if they settle for a draw, we can't, I don't want to sound negative, but we can't settle for a draw, to be realistic. If they settle for a draw, it's like we are not going to the World Cup. And that's just the way it is. They have to win this match for us to be able to go to the World Cup. They have to win this match. Because even looking at the runners-up now, Benin, that is second in our group, is even seventh, is even eighth on the runners-up table. They are eighth on the runners-up table. Other countries, Gabon have 18 points. Gabon have been able to pick 18 points. So they are the first on the runners-up table. Madagascar are second with 16 points. Cameroon are third with 15 points. Senegal are fourth with 15 points. Uganda are fifth with 15 points. Burkina Faso are sixth with 14 points. Namibia are seventh with 12 points. Benin Republic are eighth with 11 points. And Tanzania are ninth with 10 points. So if they are picking as the table stands now in this runners-up table, as it stands now, if they want to pick the best 4 runners-up, the countries they will pick are Gabon, Madagascar, Cameroon, and Senegal. As it stands now, that's the country they will pick. I'm talking about the playoff. Most people who are saying that if the Super Eagles are not qualified by winning their group, then they will qualify for the playoff. I don't think most of us know how tedious and how uphill that playoff is. I don't think most of us know how it is. First of all, those 4 countries will be grouped into, it's just like a semi-final format. They'll be grouped into 2. So 2 teams will play each other. The winner will now play, like a semi-final format. The teams that win in the semi-final will win in the final. After playing that one, the winner now in that CAF playoff will now go and play in the FIFA playoff tournament. Take a look at the teams that will be playing in the FIFA playoff tournament. From CONCACAF, from who again? And then I begin to wonder, I'm sorry, no disrespect, because I'm very sorry with what I'm saying now, but no disrespect. If we could not beat teams in our group, I'm so sorry, teams that we should have beaten in our group, if we could not beat them. So is it in the playoff tournament that will be facing formidable squads from the CONMEBOL, from the CONCACAF and the likes? Is it that one that will now, as in, like, that's what I'm saying, that people are saying that if they cannot top the group, they will go through the playoff part. The playoff part in the first place, as it is, the Benin Republic that are second in our group, they are not even out of the best 7 in the runners-up, on the runners-up table. Benin, who are second in our group, are not even part of the best 7. Not to now talk of, even if the Super Eagles, even if we now eventually see ourselves finishing as one of the best runners-up, it's a very, very tedious thing. Like, it's uphill, facing teams like, and when they get to the FIFA or the interconfederation playoff, it's like, first of all, it will be FIFA ranking. The first two teams will be exempted from play. The first 2 teams, according to the FIFA ranking, 6 teams will go there, but they'll first base it on FIFA ranking. So the first 2 teams that are top of FIFA ranking, they'll be like, you stay, you wait to let others play their own first. You guys are really, you are up on the FIFA ranking table, so stay, don't play yet. So the bottom 4 teams, they will face each other. After facing each other and casting each other out, it will now be left with 2 teams. So it will now be like those 2 teams now, in elimination matches, they'll face each other. And eventually 2 teams will now make it out of the interconfederation playoff. Two teams will make it eventually. So I now wonder. I wonder, like, if we cannot, if we cannot win our group convincingly and top the group convincingly, and with all those that we have struggled to defeat in our group, is it now when we now go and play people from CONCACAF? You know how fast those people are. Comebo, you know how fast they are. Is it now then that we know? So we should just pray that we should win today's match. Let's just win today's match, because going through the playoff part is uphill. It's huge. It's very uphill. It's so huge. Like, I really don't think it's very realistic. Let's face it now. Let's be realistic. I really don't think, let's just win today. Let's pray that by the special grace of God, we'll win today and we'll win convincingly. Let's just pray that we'll win today and that everything will work in favor. Everything will work in our favor today. Let's just pray. Like, as in, I see people who watch football matches and pray. As in, there was one time, I think it was our last match I was watching. Somebody was praying. I was looking at the person, you are praying, like, as I was really surprised that you are really praying. It's good. No, seriously, prayer works. Prayer really works. So for those who believe that it works in a situation like this, it works. Seriously, it works. So let's pray that everything will favor us today, because going through that playoff part will be very uphill. Like, it's huge. Just to be realistic, it's so huge. Because if we cannot do it now, is it then we can do it? So let's just win all these matches. Let's win our remaining matches. As in, don't let us drop any point today. Let's win the remaining matches and pray that luck will smile on Nigeria. So let me read the playoff out again. Let me read the playoff stuff out again. As I said, the best four runners up, they will now go into a CAF playoff tournament in a semi-final format. So at the end of the playoff, a winner will be picked. So the winner will go and join. The winner will now go to the FIFA playoff tournament. That's an interconfederation playoff, and that one will involve 6 teams. One each from AFC, CAF. That's one that wins our own playoff here. Comebo, that's Comebo, then the OFC, and 2 from CONCACAF, and then, as I said, the bottom 4 teams in the FIFA World Ranking will be drawn into 2 single elimination matches. The winners of these matches will advance to play the top 2 teams in the 2 single elimination matches, and the winners will qualify for the World Cup. So 2 teams will qualify from the intercontinental playoff or the interconfederation playoff. 2 teams will go from there. So that's it. Once the Super Eagles of Nigeria to win their matches, they should just win the matches for Nigeria. They should just make us happy. Let's win this match. It's not impossible. Now, looking at the teams that have qualified for the World Cup already, that was what I started with. Looking at the teams that have qualified for the World Cup already, 18 teams have booked their place in the World Cup already. 18 teams have qualified for the World Cup already. We have the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Of course, they are the co-hosts, so they have automatic qualification for the World Cup. So other teams that have qualified are Argentina, Brazil, Ecuador, Uruguay, Paraguay, and Colombia. Those are from the South American. They are from South America. The other countries that have joined them are Japan, Iran, Uzbekistan, South Korea, Jordan, and Australia. Those are Asian countries. Then we have New Zealand from Oceania, and we have Morocco and Tunisia from Africa. So we pray that by the special grace of God Almighty, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will also join Morocco and Tunisia. So please, let's be optimistic. Anything can happen. It's not over until it is over. Although not so many people, like when they defeated Rwanda in their last match, I saw somebody commenting on my page, and somebody said, if the way they played against Rwanda in their last match is anything to go by, they should just give up. Because this South African team they are going to play is a formidable squad. Not only that, they are swift, they are fast, they are talented, they are cohesive, they are everything. But, and now I replied the person immediately. I said, yes, good point, that well taken, there is noted. But don't forget that the Super Eagles of Nigeria, it is when the Chiefs are down that you see the best in them. It is when the Chiefs are down that the best come out of them. That was my response to the person. And why are we saying this? Take a look at, as I said earlier, for the benefit of those joining me, take a look at Morocco. I mean, Take a look at the Super Falcons at the last Women African Cup of Nations. When they were going for the Women African Cup of Nations, to be sincere, now everybody is saying Mission Next, Mission Next. Even when they were saying Mission Next, some people said Mission Next was unrealistic. Not too many people gave them a chance. Not too many people gave the Super Falcons of Nigeria a chance, because the countries they gave a chance were South Africa, the defending champion, and Zambia. Even I remember in one of my previews, I was like, Zambia have got the likes of Richard Kundananji and what's her name again? Barbara Banda, the current female footballer of the year. But what did we see in the match? The Super Falcons of Nigeria defeated Zambia 5-0. That is the Nigerian spirit for you. 5-0. And all those players I mentioned played though. Rachel Kundananji played. Barbara Banda, she was there. But the Super Falcons of Nigeria, they were able to, because people did not give them a chance. They were written off. But we saw the best in them. The best in them came out. And that's Nigeria for you. It is when the chiefs are down. It is when you are written them up. That's when you see the best in them. But it is when you are this is like, so when you are really hopeful, at times that is when your hope can be dashed. But when you are not hopeful, or when you are written them up, that's when the best will come out of them. That's talking about Nigeria now generally. So the Super Falcons, they played against Zambia. They defeated Zambia 5-0. In fact, at a point, because before the match, there are so many people who were talking, bragging right now. Everybody was talking everywhere. As people were just talking like, this match. In fact, at the time, I didn't talk, I was just watching. You understand? But something in me just told me that Nigeria, they've written them up again. And they came out and they won that match by 5-0. Another one was against South Africa. Okay, that was a very, very keenly contested match. It was a keenly contested match, the one against South Africa. But the one against Zambia, because we played against a team that had the current women's African footballer of the year, and who had a particular Rachel Kundananji, who was very, very, who is still very, very talented, And in the final match as well, when we were training Morocco, 2-0. Nigerians, that's why I know the Nigerians love good football, and they love you when you play good football. In the first half of that match, when the match was 2-0, and I checked the place, you can imagine a lot of people were like, why won't they 3 or 2-0? When is this? I can't be saying all those things, but you know what I'm saying now. Why won't they 3 or 2-0? When they'll be doing like this? When is this? For crying out loud, everybody's a human being. Anybody can do what they like, especially adults. As long as they are serious when it comes to their business, anybody can do what they like. You understand? People have things they do that make them happy. Anybody can do what they like that make them happy. Sorry, I just want to digress a bit. I've seen people who wear heels, high heels, and anytime they wear high heels, it just makes them happy. And they glow, they look happy. That is it. That as in anybody can do what they like to make them happy. You understand? So even if the girls were doing those stuff that people were talking about, it made them happy, and there was nothing bad in it as far as I'm concerned. But when they were training too new, people were not using that thing to as they were not like, nah, why won't they trail too new? When they will be like, they started, and we came back in the second half. And see what happened in the second half. I can, the rest is history now. But we all know what happened in the second half. That's the Niger spirit for you. The Super Falcons of Nigeria won that match. From being 2-0 down, they came back and they won the match 3-2. So that is Nigeria for you. And they won the match. So that's the Super Falcons of Nigeria for you. And also at their last World Cup, I'm talking about the Super Falcons now. At the last, you may say Super Falcons is not the same thing as Super Eagles, but it's still the same Nigeria. It's still the same, when the Chiefs are down, they can really rise. That's what I'm driving at now. So even when we were going to the last World Cup, that's talking about our team, our Super Falcons now. The one hosted by Australia and New Zealand. Not so many, but people said they were going to come out from the group stage. They got there. They defeated Australia 3-2. Even in our second round match, in the round of 16 match against England, we saw the way we played against England now. Look at the way we played against England. We were not just meant to win that match, but we really played. We gave all our best in that match. So that's Nigeria for you. I'm talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. As per this one too, as I said, there was a time, probably recently I watched a documentary of the last qualifiers. As it is now, we are now in a stage where it has become calculation, permutations, bring out a calculator. So many people have been doing a lot of calculations on this, as in concerning this group C, as per the Super Eagles, a lot of calculations. So many calculations, groups, as in so many people have been calculating. What if +1, -1, +2, But at the time, somebody was like quadratic equation, board mass, everything they put it into this. So so that was the same scenario according to the documentary I watched. That was the same scenario the Super Eagles of Nigeria found themselves in the Korea Japan World Cup. I mean in the qualifiers. And that one, in fact that one is even should be okay. It's a similar situation. That one, Liberia was in the same group with Nigeria when we were going for the Korea Japan 2002 World Cup. Nigeria, Liberia were in the same group with Nigeria, and they had a home match. That was the last match, and they needed to win their own match and qualify. That's Liberia. It was their final match, their own match. All they needed to do was just win the match and qualify. But we had a home match too. But regardless of whether we won the match or not, we're not going to qualify as long as Liberia won the match. We're not going anywhere. You understand? Even if we won our own match at home, we're not going anywhere. But they needed to win the match to go. And what happened? Liberia lost the match. It was the final match, it was the last match, the decider. Liberia lost their own match, and Nigeria, we won our match and we qualified. Whereas if they had won the match, talking about Liberia, they would have gone. And they had all the motivation then. They had all the support then. They had all the wherewithal. But despite that, they couldn't make the World Cup. So then, you understand? So don't let us write Nigeria off. Anything can happen. Let's be hopeful, let's be optimistic. Anything can happen. We have to do our part though. But anything can happen. This is football. And how are we going to do our part? By winning today's match. Don't forget that the South African team we are going to be playing today are ranked 56 in the world. And in these qualifiers, they have never lost any match at home in the qualifiers. Although the last time the Super Eagles of Nigeria played against South Africa at home was in 2019 in the African Cup of Nations, and we defeated them 2-1. That's the last time we played against South Africa on their own soil. We defeated them 2-1 in that match. But in these qualifiers, they've not lost any home match, and apart from that, they've won their last 4 matches. They've won 4 matches in a row now. They've won their last 4 matches. And they have remained unbeaten in their last 5 matches. They've remained unbeaten in their last 5 matches, and they have won 4 matches in a row now. So that's about South Africa. So I really want to thank you for joining me. Let's hope for the best in today's match. We want to win the Super Eagles of Nigeria all the best. My prediction for today's match is 3-0 in favor of South Africa. In favor of Nigeria. I'm sorry, in favor of Nigeria. It may sound unrealistic. I'm a Nigerian number one. I'm a passionate Nigerian. I follow Nigerian football passionately. And apart from that, when the Chiefs are down, as I said, the Super Eagles can just rise up. You may be like, where would the 3 goals come from? On home soil in South Africa. The South Africans, like some people will say, some Nigerians, they will say, Yoruba, let me speak Yoruba. They will say, Shao Watek by the well. It's not a matter of that, though. It's a matter of, that's my own prediction. Anyway, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will win today by 3 goals to 0. That's my prediction. 3 goals to 0.